Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me today on this webinar. I'm Rachel Blackmore. I'm a relationship coach whose mission it is in life to help women to find their perfect partner. I qualified as a counsellor in 2014 and I quickly realised that lots of people were coming to me with relationship difficulties, either a difficulty in the relationship that they already had or in finding somebody that they could actually settle down and spend their life with. So I realised that relationships were something that really, firstly, interested me, and secondly, kind of sparked my zone of genius, if you like, if you want to call it that. So I realised that I wanted to give way more than just being a counsellor. So I retrained as a coach, and here I am today. My aim today is to take you on a journey of self-discovery with the core purpose of being in the perfect position to find the one. I'm not going to waste any more of your time on this introduction. It's going to take around about an hour, so grab yourself a pen and paper and a cup of tea, or depending on what time it is, maybe a glass of wine or a G&T, and settle down, relax, and get ready to potentially change your relationships forever. Enjoy. How to be the most vibrant, authentic you possible and meet the one. Okay, so my promise to you today is that I will show you how to become the woman who attracts a partner who loves you for who you are and wants to care for you. I will empower you to stop wondering what's wrong with you and improve your self-esteem. And I will help you to focus on being ready to attract the one with whom you can have a committed adult relationship that you've been searching for. I'm going to show you how you can have this without dating countless men who can't commit. I think you probably can identify with that. Feeling that you're at fault in some way. And falling into that trap of dating everyone who asks, just in case they're Mr. Right in disguise. So what makes this different from the other stuff out there, and how will this webinar help? Well, I know there are many programs out there for people who are looking to find the partner of their dreams, to find the relationship, the committed relationship that they want. And everyone has a slightly different angle on it, a slightly different take on it. A lot of the ones I've seen have been quite sort of superficial, where, you know, they will teach you about body language and how to flirt effectively, and, you know, the signals that you can give him and what text to send to drive him wild and all that kind of thing. I've seen those. I know there's also somebody out there who will help you attract your twin flame, which is something I'm very interested in, but I don't touch on in this webinar. And, you know, there's lots of different programs out there, but what I wanted to do was make this something that is actually going to benefit you in your life as a whole. So something that's going to change the way you perceive things, change the way you feel about yourself, and then hopefully change the way that you present yourself to the world so that things can start changing for you. This is much deeper, I think, than the other things out there. This changes you at, or helps you to change at a root level, rather than just being something quite superficial. So at the end of this webinar, there's your opportunity to book a call with me. And that will be a free call, and it will be something where we can actually talk about your personal circumstances. So anything that resonates with you during this webinar, that will be your opportunity to talk it through with me personally. So I do need your attention. I would like you to turn off your mobile phones. You need to turn off Facebook, because I know how tempting it can be to, you know, sort of switch from screen to screen and just check this notification and just look at this text here. But, you know, if you are serious about finding a committed, respectful, loving relationship with the man of your dreams, then the next 60 minutes or so could change your life. So it's really worth focusing on. So this is me. You saw me at the beginning. And as I said, I'm Rachel Blackmore. I'm a coach. I'm a qualified therapist, and I'm registered with the British Association of Counselling and Psychotherapy. In my counselling practice and as a relationship coach, I have worked with many people who found it difficult to find and maintain a committed relationship with a partner who values them. And through working with me, they have been empowered to be clear about what they're looking for and to begin their quest for love with a newfound confidence and awareness, which is really important. You know, in fact, it's probably the most important thing when you're looking for a serious relationship, someone you can settle down with. So that's me and my qualifications, but who am I, you know, who am I really as that person, a private person, I suppose, really. Well, I had my own limiting beliefs when I married my husband, and I never felt truly content until I realized that I was preventing myself from feeling this way, not him. So I had this sort of sense of dissatisfaction, and for a little while I believed that my dissatisfaction lay in my relationship, whereas actually it was in other areas of my life, and that I had these limiting beliefs, which I will go through with you later on, about, you know, what I could expect from life, what I was worthy of, and that kind of thing. So I was really grateful for that realization. I love visiting new places, and I want to see the world, and I'd like to take my children to see the world with me. I'm very interested in seeing, you know, what's out there, really. And I really love vintage things. I'm currently working on manifesting my dream home, which either is a cozy country cottage or a barn conversion. And I want to fill that with old and beautiful things. You know, I want the open fire, I want the farmhouse kitchen, all the people sitting around the kitchen table. You know, that's my dream. That's what I'm working towards now. So that's a bit more about me personally. So you might be wondering why I'm doing this. And it's because I realized that not only did I realize that I had limiting beliefs in my own relationship, but also I could see patterns in the relationship issues that my clients were sharing with me. And I realized that, you know, I was seeing the same things kind of coming up again and again. And I really wanted to share what I discovered with the world, I suppose, with you. I really love empowering people to be the best version of themselves. I'm currently working on being the best version of myself. I want people to be able to feel confident and attractive as they are, and to be totally ready to attract the partner of their dreams. And I've helped many people in this way. I love watching their life unfold beautifully. I truly feel blessed to be a part of their journey. And I would love the same for you. I'd love to be part of your journey with you too. So I believe that we all need to uncover the unconscious barriers that are preventing us from finding lasting love, because we all have them. We all have unconscious barriers to all kinds of things, but when you find yourself unable to find a relationship in which you can settle down and be 100% committed with that person and then with you, normally there's something going on deep down inside. I also believe that we all need to explore, understand and accept ourselves in order to know and love ourselves as fully as possible. And I believe that we need to gain clarity around what we want and what we deserve and what we expect from a partner, because I think that also has a lot to do with things, you know, if we don't feel that we're worthwhile perhaps, or we're not entirely sure what we're looking for, then we can't have those very clear expectations and a very clear idea of what we deserve. So I want you to imagine what your life will be like when you find a partner who loves and respects you for who you are. I want you to imagine what your life will be like when you feel loved unconditionally, knowing that you're his priority and the light of his life. And I want you to imagine what your life will be like when you can wake up on a Sunday morning and share a coffee and croissants in bed with him before spending the day doing something you both love. And that's my idea of a perfect day. You know, waking up on a Sunday morning, having lovely continental breakfast in bed, and then maybe going for a walk in the woods or something like that with the person that I love. So I want you to never again have to worry about going on countless dates with men who want nothing more than a one-night stand. You know, or perhaps they'll see you a couple of times and then they'll ghost you, or whatever it might be. You know, it's that feeling of that constant revolving doors of dating. I don't want you to have to worry again anymore about meeting men who seem okay at first, but then, you know, a few weeks, few months down the line, they let you down and they leave you wondering why. You know, you thought everything was going really well. You thought you got on with them. You thought things were good. And suddenly it doesn't work out and you're just left thinking, why? You know, what's wrong with me? And I don't want you to worry again about having to spend your evenings and weekends home alone and not having that special person to take care of you. So if you've had a bad day, to come home and talk to them. If you're not feeling very well, for them to look after you. You know, it's lovely to have that special person to just do nothing with. You need to be aware, though, that results aren't typical. It's not that you're just going to watch this webinar and that your life will be changed, okay? It's not just that you will simply watch it and that will be it. There's no magic wand. So it's not a passive thing. You know, you need to take action. You need to actually take note of what I'm saying and do something about it. It's also not a find love quick gimmick, like I was talking about at the beginning. You know, those quite superficial courses that teach you superficial things. It's not that. It's not gimmicky. And it's not for you either if you aren't willing to put the effort in to explore yourself and make changes. So you need to be open-minded about the things that I talk about here and really dig quite deep and see if you can, you know, if those things resonate with you. But I do want to share with you exactly what has worked for other women who've been in a situation similar to yours. And it's worked for men, for that matter. It works for people. So I've got some testimonials of people who've worked with me here. I just want to say a big thank you to Rachel Blackmore. I recently went through a breakup. Instead of moping around, I decided to look for help to address the issues that led to the breakup. Not knowing what to expect, it was more than I expected. A great place to find out how to improve myself. And Marjorie says, I contacted Rachel after a series of unsuccessful dates. I decided I needed to change the way I was doing things. Her course, and this is my Finding Mr. Darcy course that she's referring to here, has helped me to look at myself and what I want for my future. Lots of things have come up along the way, which Rachel has helped me work through. The course requires effort and self-examination. Support from Rachel is always on hand. The main thing I would say is that I now look positively at my future. I was in a rush to meet someone. Now I'm prepared to wait until I meet someone worth committing to, and I believe that will happen. Catherine says, this has been the best money I've ever spent. It's a process which in itself is tremendously worthwhile. It's not a product to me in that I'm not buying an end product. It's worth it for the process I'm going through. Thank you. And Verity said, I didn't realise it was possible to wake up every morning with your best friend lying next to you. Without Rachel's insight, I very much doubt I would have seen right what was in front of my own nose. And Verity, I loved working with Verity. It was brilliant because she had a very good friend that she was in a band with, and had never really considered the possibility of becoming involved with a friend. But in our sessions, I pointed out the fact that she talked about him a lot. And I actually said to her, you know, what are your feelings about him? And, you know, can you imagine waking up next to your best friend every day? And it was sort of, you know, through the process, she realised that actually she was in love with him. And after one of our sessions, she went home and told him. And they got married this May. So that was very exciting. And there's some more testimonials there. If you want to pause the video now, you can do, and you can read those. I won't spend time reading those out to you. Okay, so what we're going to cover is there's 3 realizations. So realization 1 is learning how to stop wasting your time choosing the wrong men who leave you feeling let down and unlovable. Realization 2 is that there are 3 things that you can do to understand yourself at a deep level and know that you are perfect just the way you are. And realization 3 is that you can authentically attract the one using the universal laws of attraction. Okay, so you might like to get a pen and paper at this juncture. If you want to pause the video to go and do that, please do, or you might have one already. You might want to get yourself another drink. All right, let's go. So, realization 1, learning how to stop wasting your time choosing the wrong men who leave you feeling let down and unlovable. So here we have Colin Firth playing Mark Darcy, and you will also know him as Mr. Darcy from Pride and Prejudice. And as a little aside, Helen Fielding, who wrote Bridget Jones's Diary, deliberately called him Mark Darcy because she had an absolutely huge crush on Colin Firth. And in the book Bridget Jones's Diary, Bridget actually gets the chance to interview Colin Firth, and of course when they made the films they had to change that part, but to me and Helen Fielding and other women alike, Colin Firth is like the epitome of, well, Mr. Darcy is the epitome of the perfect man, whether he's Mark Darcy or Fitzwilliam Darcy. And then you've got Daniel Cleaver and Mr. Wickham. So they seem to be kind of the epitome of the bad boy, the man that you don't want to get involved with. So if you are the person who would pick Daniel Cleaver or Mr. Wickham over Mr. Darcy, you need to think about why, okay? Because there's many reasons that we do this. Women pick bad boys, men pick bad girls, you know, we do this, and it's about thinking about why. So would you pick a man like that because of his looks? You know, do you pick someone based on what they look like? Do they have a certain sort of image, you know, cigarette hanging out the mouth, sunglasses, that kind of thing? Are you attracted to that bad boy persona? You know, can you not resist a bad boy? Do you like someone who's slightly edgy? Do you like that, you know, that kind of feeling that maybe you could change them? That yes, they're a bad boy now. Yes, they're a bit edgy now, but you could be the one to take on that challenge and change them, and you're the one who would make them settle down. Because, you know, that is a very appealing thought, to be so special that you can change somebody, and it does happen, but more often than not it doesn't. There might also be other patterns. So maybe you choose men who are always much older than you or much younger than you, and there might be something in that. You know, perhaps you are looking for somebody to take care of you, like a father figure. So maybe you do choose much older men, and then it doesn't work out because actually it's very difficult to foster romantic or sexual feelings towards a man who you see as a father figure. Maybe if you choose men much younger than you, it's because there was something missing at that period in your life that you feel perhaps you didn't have a youth, so to speak, and you're kind of stuck in wanting to recreate that for yourself. Or maybe it's simply that you can't see through their initial charm. So you're quite, naive, and you are easily sort of charmed into thinking that this person is nice and that he's going to do this for you and he's going to, you know, makes all these promises. Maybe he comes on a little full at the start of the relationship, and you kind of get pulled into that. So just thinking about the type of men you choose and why you choose them is really quite a useful starting point. And then you need to think about what you can do about it. So if you are the sort of person who chooses that bad boy and you know that you're not going to be able to change them and they're not going to settle down with you, then what can you do about it? So firstly, you need to get clarity on these things. So you need to get clarity on what you really do want. So you don't want a bad boy, really. You know, you have been choosing them for whatever reason, and if you decided that maybe in the future you wanted to work with me, we could perhaps uncover that. But what do you want out of a relationship? What is he like? And it doesn't necessarily have to be physical. It could be that he's tall and dark and has brown eyes, like Colin Firth. But it could also be how he makes you feel, like what sort of person he is. So is he kind? Is he calm? Is he excitable? You know, how does he make you feel? And yeah, as I say, how does he make you feel? So it's important to know what type of person he is, what type of man you're looking for, and that ties in with what you want for your life. I mean, I'm assuming that you want somebody who puts your needs, you know, first, or who treats you really kindly, who listens to you, who respects you. You know, so what sort of person is he, and how does he make you feel? Secondly, you need to visualize it. So what does your life with him look like? So you've got this life now, he's in it. What does that life look like? What's your idea of the perfect relationship? What does that constitute, that perfect relationship? Can you experience that with all your senses? So can you experience what it would be like? What would he smell like? What does he look like? What does he taste like when you kiss him? What does his voice sound like? And how does he make you feel? How does he make you feel inside? And I've got a little quote there from the law of attraction, which is that our energy flows where our attention goes. So maybe, you know, get yourself a pen and paper now and write it down. Be as clear and as specific as you can possibly be. Write down what sort of person he is. You know, describe him in as much detail as you can. Describe your idea of your perfect relationship, and experience it with all of your senses. Try and be as descriptive as possible using your 5 senses of what your life is like now he's in it. Maybe an ideal day with him, you know, like I suggested about that Sunday where you have the croissants in bed and the walk in the woods. What's your idea of that perfect day with him? And once you've done that, it's time to really make a decision, you know, be purposeful, and decide that you are going to stop choosing the wrong men for you. So are you choosing the wrong men because you're not coming from a place of integrity? You know, do you not really know what it is that you're looking for, or what it is that you want and deserve? And do you go out with everybody who asks you? You know, do you kind of have that feeling that you go out with him because you never know? You know, he might be the one. Even if you know for sure that he just isn't the right person for you, you go out with them anyway. So if we think about going out with everybody who asks, or if you think about the people that you have been out with, either that you've been on dates with or you've had relationships with, think about your boundaries and where your boundaries lie, because this could also be an issue for you. This could also be maybe where you're becoming unstuck. So what kind of behavior have you accepted in the past? Have you accepted the type of behavior that really wasn't very respectful of you? So maybe, for example, he said that he was going to call you after work at 5:30, and he didn't end up ringing you until 9:30 at night, and you'd been waiting all that time to hear from him. And he didn't really have a very good reason. He'd just gone home, had tea, watched telly for a bit, and then thought about ringing you. I mean, that leaves you feeling really unimportant. It leaves you feeling like You're nowhere near the top of his priorities list, and yet you put up with that behavior. Maybe he makes a date and then breaks it at the last minute. Maybe he doesn't even turn up. Maybe he doesn't even ring when he says he will. You know, if you've accepted things that leave you feeling bad in the past, you need to maybe think about your boundaries and where they lie. And think about what your attitudes, values, and beliefs are. So, firstly, what are your attitudes about the world in general, but also what's your attitude about yourself? What are your values? What are the things that are really important to you? And what do you believe about yourself, and what do you believe about the world? And so, you know, what do you put out there? Because I think it's important to have a strong sense of your values, particularly, and to find somebody who shares those attitudes, values, and beliefs. And then really to think about what you want. So what do you want? Do you want somebody who says he will ring you at 5:30 and rings you at 5:30, who says that he will take you out for a pizza on Saturday night and takes you out for a pizza on Saturday night? Be really clear about what you want. Okay, so let's think about dating sites. And I don't make a secret of this in any of my social media, you know, posts or the videos I've made, the blogs I've written, etc. I'm not massively keen on dating sites. I feel that they kind of encourage the paradox of choice. You know, that feeling that, okay, this person's nice, but there's so many other hundreds of thousands of people out there that perhaps there's someone better. And it kind of, you know, for you and for the men that you're meeting, it seems like there's too much choice. So when you think about, if you're using dating sites, if you think about your dating profile, you think about the things you've written on your dating profile, I think you need to be very clear about what it is that you are looking for. So if you want a committed relationship and you are hoping in the future that you want to get married, maybe have children, I think it's important to put that out there, because it then, you know, casts aside the men who don't want that. I mean, that's a waste of your time. If they don't want that, what's the point in going on even a first date with them? So in a way, I think sometimes you're led to being more vague or putting things that you don't mean on your dating profile, because you are more likely to get a bite, if you like, if we're going to use this fishing analogy. So let's say, for example, you want a rainbow fish, and I don't know whether that's a rainbow fish on that picture or not, but it looks rainbow coloured to me, so I've used it. You know, if you're looking for a rainbow fish, you need to be very specific about what you want, and you need to make it clear on your dating profile. And it might take you a while to catch that fish, okay? Because there's only one rainbow fish in a lake or a sea that's full of hundreds of eels. You don't want an eel, but you know that those eels are more readily available. They are much more easy to catch. And, you know, you never know, one of those eels might be all right. But actually, you really want that rainbow fish. So although you would put that profile out there and you might not get people messaging you in their droves, actually it's worthwhile holding out, because you don't want to fish with the wrong bait, so to speak. You don't want to say that you are looking for a good time and that you just want a bit of fun, if actually that isn't what you want at all. You're just saying that because you feel as though it's casting the net wider. Does that make sense? So I suppose what we're saying is quality is better than quantity. Moving on to realization 2 then, is that there are 3 things that you must do to understand yourself at a deep level and know that you are perfect just the way you are. And I've put there that it's time to drop that chameleon syndrome. So that syndrome is when you change who you are because you think the other person wants you to be a certain way. So for example, I have a friend, and when she was younger, she dated someone who was into drum and bass. So she decided she liked drum and bass. And then when they split up, she dated somebody who was really into animals. And so, you know, she had a house with him and she filled it full of rabbits and all that kind of thing. And, you know, neither one of those things was authentically her. She didn't like drum and bass until she met that partner. She wasn't particularly fussed about having lots of animals until she met that partner. So it felt as if she was a chameleon, that she was adapting herself to suit what she thought they wanted. When actually the important thing is to understand yourself at a deep level and know that you are perfect the way you are, and to seek somebody who appreciates you in all your glory without you having to adapt yourself to suit what you think they want. So in this section, we're going to cover the whether or not you can recognize the changeable and unchangeable aspects of yourself, and whether you have any limiting beliefs about yourself, and whether or not you have toxic people in your life. So those are the three things that can really play a big part in this. So firstly, you're going to move, I want you to move from criticism and dislike to acceptance and appreciation. So think about, who am I? I want you to think about what you like about yourself, and there must be things that you like about yourself. I want you to write those down. Now think about what you dislike about yourself. You don't necessarily have to write that down. And then of those things, decide whether or not you can do anything about it. So for example, if you dislike the fact that you are a dress size bigger than you'd like to be, then yes, you can do something about that. But if you don't like, I don't know, your nose or your hands or something, there is absolutely nothing you can do about that unless you have plastic surgery, which I would never encourage. But it's about learning to love the things that you can't change. Okay, so your nose isn't the same as, I don't know, Jennifer Aniston or somebody who has a pretty nose. But so what? It's part of you. And you can learn to love it, because somebody will come along and they will think, wow, she's absolutely beautiful. Somebody will find the features of your face perfect, exactly as they are. So it's no good comparing yourself to other people and wishing that you had something other than what you've got if there is nothing you can do about it. By all means, change the things you can change, but if you can't change them, learn to love them. And think about whether or not you compare yourself to other people. Who do you compare yourself to? Why do you compare yourself to them? Is it because you think they're better than you? Is it because they're cleverer than you, prettier than you, slimmer than you, more successful than you? Who is it that you're comparing yourself to? How does it make you feel? And why are you doing that? Really, what you need to do is treat yourself as you would treat your best friend. So you would never criticize your best friend in comparison to someone else. Or, you know, you'd be much better if you were as thin as she is. You'd be much better if you were as clever as her. You know, you would never do that to your best friend. So why would you do it to yourself? It's really important to treat yourself exactly as you would somebody who is close to you, who you love. So secondly, we're going to look at getting rid of limiting beliefs. What do you believe about yourself? What kind of person do you believe you are? Do you believe you're clever? Do you believe you're good at maths? Do you believe you're attractive? Do you believe you're somebody that people get on with and like? What do you believe about the world? Do you believe that the world is, for the most part, a good place, full of good people? You know, that life is something to be joyful about, that it's worth living, that it's somewhere that you feel safe in. And if not, You know, what do you believe? And where did these beliefs come from? So perhaps you were told when you were younger, you know, perhaps you were told at school continuously that you were not good at maths, and so now that's just part of who you believe you are. It might not be true. You might actually be able to do sums very quickly in your head, but because you've always been told that, that's what you believe. Maybe you believe you're not very attractive. Maybe this comes from a younger period in your life where perhaps, you know, somebody had been nasty to you. Maybe you were bullied. Maybe your parents said something to reinforce that belief that you're not attractive. So think about where they came from. And then, you know, hone that down then into what you believe about men and what you believe about relationships. Do you believe that men are generally good, or do you believe they're only after one thing? Do you believe they're going to hurt you, or do you believe they're going to treat you well? What do you believe about relationships? Do you believe that you're always only going to end up getting hurt, or do you believe that you know, they're something of joy, something to cherish? What do you believe about love? Do you believe that love is wonderful, or do you believe that it's painful? And do you believe other people's needs are above your own? Is it that all the men you've dated in the past, or the relationships that you've had, you've put his needs above yours? And then think, are your beliefs true? Ask yourself, is this true? Are all men cheaters? No, they're not, but you may well believe that. Are all relationships doomed to fail? No, they're not, but you may well believe that. Is love risky? Well, maybe it is, but sometimes risks are worth taking, aren't they? And do you believe other people's needs are above your own? No, they're not, but where has that belief come from? And now think about how these beliefs hold you back. And I think it's quite clear to see, isn't it, that if you believe that men are only after one thing, you're going to avoid men. If you think that relationships are only there to hurt you, you're going to avoid relationships. If you believe that love is risky and you're risk averse, you're going to avoid falling in love. And if you believe other people's needs are above your own, you're always going to accept less than desirable behavior or treatment from people. So moving on to number 3 then is limiting your exposure to toxic people. And what I mean by toxic people are the people who have a very negative energy about them. Life is against them. The world is just there to piss them off. And they just do nothing but moan about things, or maybe they put you down. Maybe every time you see them, they sort of look you up and down and raise an eyebrow about your choice of outfit or the way you've done your hair. You know, you could have an aunt who's particularly critical about, oh dear, you know, oh gosh, I don't think your hair suits you that style, darling, you know, kind of thing. Or maybe you have a friend who comes around for coffee every week and moans about how awful life is and how terrible things are for her. And I think it's quite obvious really that the way that you would feel when you were with them is pretty low. You know, if you're with somebody who has this really negative energy about them and puts negativity out into the world, you're going to feel negative when you're with them, aren't you? It's going to make you feel bad about yourself if someone criticizes you. It's going to make you feel bad about the world if your friend comes around and tells you how awful everything is. But really, it's important to think about how long you feel bad for afterwards. So if you have a lot of contact with this particularly toxic person, how long does that last? You know, do they drain the good feeling from you for hours or maybe even days after seeing them? So I've got this little picture of this bubble here because it's kind of, I'm thinking about protecting yourself. against this toxicity? Do you have to have these people in your life? If not, you know, if you've got a friend who comes around every week to just moan about everything and who doesn't really care about you or your life, she just wants to offload all her own woes, do you have to have her in your life, really? And how can you limit that? So maybe you could start off by only seeing her every 2 weeks, saying to her, you know, gosh, I love you coming around every week, but I've really got things to do, and maybe you could come around the week after, or something, you know. If you do have to see them, so if you have to see that aunt who criticizes your hair or what you've decided to wear, how can you limit the damage? So, you know, knowing that she's a toxic person, knowing that she's critical of everything, that's a step in the right direction. But imagining yourself in this bubble, this protective bubble, that could also help. And maybe you can come up with ideas of your own. So, to summarize, you are only able to give love to another when you are able to give love to yourself. So getting rid of those limiting beliefs, getting rid of those negative feelings and views about yourself, getting rid of the toxic people in your life will allow you to feel much more love about life in general and love towards yourself, because you are only really able to give love after that. And you're also only able to receive love from somebody else when you can receive love from yourself. So you have to believe that you are worth loving, because if you don't believe that you're worth loving, you're not going to accept that love. You're not going to receive that love from another person. And again, that's going to be a barrier. That's going to be a huge barrier to you being able to create or have that relationship that you so badly desire. So you must love yourself before you can be loved by somebody else. Right, realization 3 then is that you can authentically attract the one using the universal laws of attraction. So you need to show up confidently, you need to have integrity, and you can be a magnet for your Mr. Darcy. Like attracts like, and I'm going to move on to being more specific about that in a minute, but basically I think we all know that if you're a type of person, you attract that type of person. So what's your outlook on life? We've talked about this when we've looked at limiting beliefs just now. What do you see in life? Are you generally quite a positive, optimistic person, or are you quite a negative, pessimistic person? Do you practice gratitude? Do you feel grateful for the good things in your life? Do you feel grateful for your friends, for your family, for the job you do, for the skills you have? Because like attracts like, you know, we attract people towards us who are similar to the way that we are. So ask yourself if you are willing and able to commit. Do you actually deep down really want a committed relationship? Because if you have any question or any doubts about that, you're going to be attracting people who are the same. Think about what you've written in your dating profile, because you're going to be attracting people the same as you. If you've written that you want a committed relationship, you're going to be attracting people who want a committed relationship. And the men that you are choosing are a reflection of your answers. They are a reflection of you. The sort of person that you are, that you put out to the world, is the sort of person that you are going to attract back to you. So if you find yourself thinking, actually, do you know what? I am a bit of a moaner. I often complain about things. I quite like to offload on my friends. I have quite a negative, pessimistic view of life. Then the chances are you're going to be attracting somebody like that. And do you want to be with somebody like that? Are you the type of partner that you would choose for yourself? So what are you communicating to everybody? Are you influenced by your limiting beliefs? Do you know, how low or high is your self-worth? You know, do you see certain men as being out of your league? Because really, if you think about it, that's nonsense. There's no such thing as anybody being better than anybody else. It doesn't exist. That only exists in your head. Oh, you know, he's punching above his weight, going out with her. Well, actually, maybe he's not. You know, maybe people are judging this on a very superficial level, but there really is absolutely no such thing. And what's your level of desperation? Are you communicating that you need to be married right now? Or are you communicating that you don't actually want to commit? Because either, you know, an extreme on either end of those sort of scales, I guess, you don't want to come across as being really desperate, that you want to get married to the first man who comes along and you want to marry him tomorrow. But you also don't want to be at the other end of the scale, where you're communicating to people that really you don't want to commit. Because then, you know, either of those sort of polar opposites is not a way to attract the right person, because you don't want to attract somebody desperate. You want to know that someone wants to marry you because they absolutely adore you, not because they're desperate to get married. And you also don't want to attract someone who doesn't want to commit, because what's the point in that?
So the answers to all these questions and everything we've covered are clues to why you find yourself where you are now. And it's the things that you've been doing that potentially you've been putting out into the universe, and it's affecting what you're attracting. So we're going to have a look now at the law of attraction, which is what part 3 of this webinar is all about. So you may or may not have heard of the law of attraction. It basically is something that states that you're more than just your physical body. You are made up of vibrating energy in a universe made up of vibrating energy. And I guess you could call it your aura. You know, it's when you get a sense about somebody and you just, either you get a bad feeling about somebody or you get a good feeling about somebody. You know, when you say, well, we just clicked, or, you know, I felt like she really understood me, or he really understood me, or whatever. So there are lots of famous people who subscribe to this idea as well. So it's not just me being a little bit sort of woo-woo, as you might call it. Lots of people believe that using the law of attraction can really change your life. So I'm going to explain a bit about it now. If you decided to work with me, one of the modules is all about the law of attraction and how to use it. And if you're interested in this, just contact me and I can give you a list of really good books. So your energy vibrations attract like energy to you, like a magnet. This means that whatever is at a similar energy vibration to you will appear in your life. It will actually be attracted towards you. And this is why it's important that you learn how to control your energy vibration, because when you control it, you control what your vibrations attract, both good and bad. So you attract what matches you. Like attracts like. If you're putting out positive energy into the world, you will be attracting positive energy back. So if you want to change what you're attracting, then it seems quite obvious really that you have to shift your own vibration. So everything in the entire universe carries a certain frequency, and it might look as if something is still, you know, like this table that I'm sat at and so on, but actually you know that everything is made of atoms, you know that atoms vibrate, and therefore they are going to be creating energy, and even Albert Einstein subscribed to this idea. So if you surround yourself with positive people, your energy will align with theirs. As the old saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. Most people don't know how to manifest properly because they don't fully understand how the law of vibration works, and that's part of the law of attraction. Basically, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, and your intention equal your vibration. So if you're having negative thoughts, if you are a pessimist, if you behave in a way that means that you're showing the world that you mistrust it, if you intend to maybe sort of, I don't know, do negative things, like someone's done something and you want to get your own back, that kind of thing, then your vibration will be at quite a negative frequency. Otherwise, if you're having really positive thoughts, you're feeling good about life, you go out, you give to charity, you meet with other positive friends, and you intend to give something to the world, then your vibration is going to be vibrating at a really positive frequency. So your vibration then aligns with the order that you're placing with the universe. So you're cosmically ordering certain things into your life. If you're putting out those negative vibrations, you are cosmically ordering negative things to come to you. Likewise, if you're putting out positive vibrations, you are ordering positive things to come to you. So I'm going to try and simplify it, because for me, it's second nature now. And I kind of feel as though other people must know what I'm talking about. But I realize that if you've not heard of it before, this might be something that you're kind of trying to wrap your head around now. You can think of it this way. As you choose to focus on happiness, gratitude, and joy, more happiness, gratitude, and joy will be drawn into your life, because it will be in vibrational harmony with the frequency you're offering. If you're constantly pissed off and complaining, then you'll be creating or attracting more of the same into your experience. So you create your vibrational set point, you buzz that frequency out into the ether, and whatever your dominant energetic patterns are will be drawn to you in the form of things, people, and experiences that are in alignment with your vibrational set point. So I hope that makes sense. Like I say, if it doesn't make sense, feel free to contact me. You know that my email address, my website is on here, and I can hopefully clarify it for you. So to summarize, by consciously creating your energy and vibration, you activate and work with the law of vibration to deliberately manifest. So you are deliberately bringing positive experiences into your life because you've put that positive vibration out there. This is why it is so important to be clear about what you want and what you deserve, and to behave in the way that you want your future partner to behave. In essence, you attract what you are. And trust me, it works. Since I discovered the law of attraction about, I don't know, 3 years ago now, I've really studied it. I've really put it into practice, and I found that it has made a huge difference to the way I experience my life and the things that come into my life. So today we have covered realization 1, how you can stop wasting your time choosing the wrong men who leave you feeling let down and unlovable. Realization 2, the 3 things you must do to understand yourself at a deep level and know that you are perfect just the way you are. And realization 3, that you can authentically attract the one using the universal laws of attraction. So you might be wondering what your next steps are now. Thank you for staying with me until this point. I really hope that you've got something out of this. If you want to see more about what I do, you can go to rachelblackmore.com. You can go /coaching if you want to just find out about coaching, or you can just go to the website to find out, read my blogs, read my testimonials, that kind of thing. But my mission is to reach as many women as possible. I want to take you on a journey of self-discovery with the core purpose of being in the perfect position to meet the one. And in order to do that, I need to connect with as many people personally as possible. So I think you will probably realize now that it is time for you to do something different. And what I am offering today to the people who have stayed this far on the webinar is a complimentary 30-minute Finding Mr. Darcy call. So this call is all about helping you to get real clarity on what's happening for you in relationships, and to give you the strategies you need to finally be ready to meet the one. This is for you if you are fed up of meeting unsuitable men. You are committed to taking action and moving forward right now. if you don't want to waste another minute passively waiting for your future to simply happen to you. You are willing to invest in your future. You are ready to meet your soulmate. If you go to talktorachel.com, you will find my calendar there, and you will be able to book your Finding Mr. Darcy call with me. And I want you to think about what it's going to mean for you to take no action today. So you've watched this webinar, you've probably had a few sort of light bulb moments, a few aha moments, but you've decided you're not going to do anything about it. Well, what will that mean? Okay, consider for a moment that Henry Ford once said, if you do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. Doing nothing today is the same as you've been doing for goodness knows how long. Actually deciding to take action today, to take, what's the word I'm looking for? Inspired action. You've been brought here for a reason. You've watched this webinar for a reason. You've come into my universe for a reason. Don't waste that opportunity. So which path are you going to take now? You've got two options. Option one, do nothing. This requires no risk and zero faith. You'll continue to experience the exact same results you've always had with little or no change. Or option two, invest the time into seeing what's possible in your life. Be willing to open your heart and mind to a world of possibility. This call with me is only about 30 minutes long. There's absolutely no obligation whatsoever for you to work with me afterwards. I just want to be able to help you. You do have to apply for the call, however, because places are very limited. So if I have lots of people who want to talk to me, obviously there's only one of me. I have lots of clients that I'm working with already. So I can only offer a certain number of Finding Mr. Darcy calls. If you go to talktorachel.com now, hopefully there will be a space for you if the universe is aligning. And so book the time that suits you on there, and I will then be able to give you a call. Now is your time. Please don't let your dream of finding the one wait another day. You've watched this webinar because you want to change your life. So apply for your call with me now. You have absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain. So go to talktorachel.com, find a spot on my calendar that suits you, and wait for me to call. I cannot wait to talk to you. I cannot wait to help you move forward and create the relationship that you deserve. Thank you for watching. I will talk to you soon.